Did you know that sub-Saharan Africans built Stonehenge? Who knew? Thankfully, the truth is finally out, all thanks to a children's book called Brilliant Black British History. The book is being promoted by the Arts Council, which is a government-funded body. Your tax money hard at work. Readers of the newly released book are told that Stonehenge was built while Britain was a black country, that the very first Britons were black, and that Britain has been a mostly white country for a lot less time than it has been a mostly black country. The book states that Britain was a black country for more than 7,000 years before white people came, and during that time the most famous British monument was built, Stonehenge. Well, that proves it for me. We was Mesolithic hunter-gatherers and sheep. Note again the cover of the book. The implication is that clearly we're not talking about swarthy Mediterranean Europeans who migrated to Britain. The suggestion is that the monument, which was built in 2500 BC, was built by sub-Saharan Africans. And again, it's all based on the Cheddar Man hoax, the oldest human remains found in Britain, which cemented the claim that early Britons looked like this, despite the fact that the lead researchers in the study said it was impossible to predict skin tone from the genetic model they used. Recent genetic analysis also shows that the inhabitants of Britain in around 2500 BC, when Stonehenge was completed, were pale-skinned early farmers. Don't let that get in the way of a good story, though. Historian Tom Rousell explains how they misrepresent Cheddar Man to manipulate the truth.
No race on Earth today has any genetic relationship specifically to the Western hunter-gatherers except white people. White people are the only people who descend from Western hunter-gatherers to any significant degree. Their cranial morphology is very typically European. They have blue eyes like Europeans and straight hair like Europeans, snub noses like Europeans. They are generally going to be European looking. It's possible, based on a prediction of the genes associated with complexion, that they had darker skin than what modern Europeans have. That's a possibility, although many scientists have called for caution when talking about that because we can't accurately predict skin colors in such an ancient population. However, even if they were dark-skinned, it doesn't make any difference because they are not sub-Saharan African blacks. Nelson Mandela is called black because he is sub-Saharan African. He doesn't actually have black skin, he's quite light-skinned, but he's still called black. Tamils from South Asia have very dark skin, but they're not called black because they are not from sub-Saharan Africa. When you say black in Britain, you mean sub-Saharan African. And this man, Cheddar Man, had no sub-Saharan African DNA at all. He was not related to sub-Saharan Africans. It is a complete lie to say that he is. It's completely fictional.
According to the book, and yes, it's real, I'm not making this up, this is a typical scene from Tudor England. Historian Dr. Zaria Masani said the book was evidence of brainwashing children with outright lies, confusion and misinformation. Why would they do that? Why would the BBC broadcast this perler on a children's history show? May not have been told, we have been here from the start. To entrench the lie that rapid demographic changes and mass migration at breakneck speed has always happened, and that it happening now is completely normal and natural, so just shut up and accept it. Forget the fact that the Norman conquest increased the population of Britain by just 5%. Forget the fact that the arrival of the French Huguenots in the 1680s involved around 50,000 people, all of whom were white and Christian. And I guess the Bayeux Tapestry depicting entirely white people was just racist too or something. Importing 1 million people a year, primarily from Africa, South Asia and the Middle East, a process that will require us to build at least 15 new cities the size of Birmingham within a few decades simply to cope with the influx, is completely normal because it's always happened throughout history. Just accept it, bigot. Some people living in Britain thousands of years ago may not have had porcelain white skin, so sod border control, right? Roll out the red carpet to the entire third world. But wait, if Britain was mostly a black country for more time than it was mostly a white country, as the book claims, that means white people can't be responsible for colonialism or slavery, right? No, that's still all white people's fault. All the bad stuff is still white people's fault.